Hey guys, welcome to another video, and in this one I'll make my first tier 4 Marvel Future Fight tier list. And as you can see from this rows, I only have 5 categories. I have best characters in PvE, I have best characters for PvP, and then good for PvE, good for PvP, and don't build. And the reason I made my tier list like this is because what I want is when a player looks at my tier list, he knows which characters are best for PvE and best for PvP, and what are the alternatives if he can't build for whatever reason best for PvE and best for PvP. What are the alternatives for PvE and PvP, and which characters should they avoid? I also dislike making, while they're more precise, I dislike making tier lists that have like 10 or more rows, and you have like World Boss Legend method and Dispatch method and Rift method and GBR method and Timeline method, blah blah blah. They are more accurate and precise, but they are also more confusing, and because my channel is catered more towards beginner or new players and intermediate players, I want this tier list to be as concrete as possible. In the first category, we'll slot the absolute best characters for PvE, and in the second category, the absolute best ones for PvP. And for those two categories, I guarantee you that if you build any of the characters I slot here, you will have zero regrets. They'll bring so much value to your account that their value just can't be replaced by any other character from these two categories. And in these two categories, good for PvE and good for PvP, are the characters that, while they are still good, they do have some drawbacks, either in terms of damage or survivability, or the number of world boss stages, or the number of alliance battle uses, and so on. And then this category is self-explanatory, and in this category will be a list of characters that I do not recommend building at all. One more disclaimer I want to make, because again, my channel is catered towards new players. If I slot a character like, for example, I just used him in the best for PvE, that doesn't mean that if you're a new player or beginner player, you should disregard everything here and go for him, because it will take you so much time to finish his epic quest, grind for crystals, buy the deluxe pack, and then build him, because he's a native tier 2 character. So that's something you should keep in mind while looking at this tier list. So without further ado, let's get started with the tier list. Okay, so first up we have War Machine, and he goes right to the trash can. I do not recommend building War Machine at all. He brings almost nothing to the table when compared to other blast heroes, so yeah, just skip him. There are better blast hero options than him. There's really no reason to build War Machine at all. Then we have our good old Captain America, one of our first tier 4s, and unfortunately he also goes to the trash can. He is kinda jack of all trades, master of none character, and in Marvel Future Fight, those characters usually do not shine and are replaced easily. So while he can be used in multiple game modes, there are better characters in each of those game modes where he can be used. Then next up we have Human Torch. He goes straight to good for PvE, and the reason why he's not in the best for PvE category, what his weakness is that he is a blast hero male, and blast hero males usually do not have that much world boss stages, and especially alliance battle stages. And while he's absolutely amazing for World Boss stages, World Boss Legend, and the stages where he is available, his weakness strips him of being best for PvE, so he goes in the good for PvE category. Then we have Echo, our Miss Lopez, and she goes also straight to the trash can. There is literally zero reason to build her as your speed type over, well, most other speed types, so just skip her, do not build her. Same goes with Hulkbuster. He was released in the same time as War Machine, and unfortunately, just like War Machine, He's a combat type, but well, he is a blast type, he's a combat type, and there are way better combat types than him, so you can safely skip him as well. Then we come to the Gladiator. Now, Gladiator is a very costly character, requires a deluxe pack and too many resources to build, but he is definitely one of the best characters in the game. He's one of the best, if not the best, in Alliance Battle game modes, and he absolutely crushes world bosses. He also has some PvP value in modes like Alliance Conquest, so massive value for your account if you build a character like Gladiator, so he absolutely deserves to be in the best for PvE category. Then we have our Miss Spider-Gwen, and she also goes to the good for PvE category. While she is really flexible and can be used in many world boss stages and can be used in many alliance battle stages, there are some characters that just do it better than her. So either they do more damage or they do their rotation is easier or they have more survivability, but she's really, really up high in this category and one of the best characters you can build as a new player. Then we have, for our next character, we have Black Panther, and I know many of you would disagree with me for doing this, but I would just say do not build him. He's a combat type, combat hero, and there are better combat heroes to build to tier 4 other than Black Panther. So while he has some uses, there are better options. So yeah, just do not build him at all. Then we have our Miss Captain Marvel, and she goes to good for PvE category. Much like Spider-Gwen, she is available in multiple world boss stages, and she is actually really good in Alliance Battle game modes, so she absolutely deserves to be here with Spider-Gwen and Human Torch for now. Then we have Eponymous in his Space Hitler uniform. He was the first Blast villain tier 4 after Magneto, and I was so hyped when he was announced because I thought that finally we would have an alternative to Magneto's seasonal uniform, but unfortunately he just doesn't hit the mark as much as Mephisto or Magneto does, sorry, not Mephisto. So even though he has some support value for universal types, he really is more of a resource waste than a value character, so I will respectfully put him in do not build category. Then we have Black Bolt, absolutely insane character, was insane for a very long time, requires a seasonal uniform, it still has some uses, but really outshined by some other universal supervillains now, but because he's, even after 2 years, he still has some uses, he deserves to be in good for PvE category. Then we have Storm in her seasonal uniform, one of the worst seasonal uniforms in the game, and I'm so tempted to put her in do not build category, and I probably will, but she does provide an amazing support buff for elemental damage dealers, so she may deserve to be here, honestly, like at the very bottom of this, but because of how garbage her uniform is, even at the time of her release for DPS and movement speed and survivability, I will just put her at do not build category. Then we have Iron Man. Now, he was released also at the same time with War Machine, but he is just better than War Machine, and as Hulkbuster, but he is also better than Hulkbuster, so he absolutely deserves to be at the same spot with Human Torch, and while he's absolutely amazing for World Boss Legend content, that's like Human Torch, his only use, so there is really no reason to rush and build Iron Man because while he will crush World Boss Legend stages that you play him in, he doesn't have many of them, and his Alliance Battle value, because it doesn't require you to use Blast Heroes, will be limited, so you're only building character like Iron Man and Human Torch to, well, for one purpose only, and that's to kill the few selected stages of World Boss Legend restrictions. Then we have Blue Dragon. Now, Blue Dragon is one of the first PvP tier 4 characters, and while she still retains some value in modes like Alliance Conquest, she's rarely played in other modes. She's definitely not played in Timeline Battle, in Otherworld Battle. She's only played if at least there are 10 to 15 meta characters banned. So there she has some value. So based on that alone, I would slot her to do not build category because, well, there are better options to build for PvP now, and building a toon or a character strictly for Alliance Conquest only is a rich man's game. So while she does have some value there, this doesn't mean that you should build her, so I will just slot her in do not build category. Then we have our Deadpool. And now Deadpool, while he's absolutely, well, not absolutely amazing, but he can be really good if you have maxed out team collection and or team up collection, and if you give him a brilliant CTP of Conquest and you stack him with Odin's Blessings, he can kill characters that are current timeline metas. I would really only not put him in best for PvP, but rather in good for PvP or like decent for PvP, just because he has that potential to be really good if you max him out, but realistically only a few selected players will make Deadpool as strong as it is. Then we have Madeline Pryor. She's actually one of the most tragic Marvel Future Fight characters, because when she was released, everybody was expecting a new Jean Grey that will be even more powerful in PvP, and she really was for some time, like a month and a half maybe, but then she was outclassed and replaced by better PvP characters. So for now, I really want to put her only in good for PvP, because there are, like Deadpool, there are better options to build than her, and on top of that, she's extremely expensive character to get and to build, because you do require to buy the most expensive epic quest and to get her artifact, just like Deadpool. Then we have Odin. Now, Odin is all around a really good character. He also has some support buffs for his Asgardians. So I would really slot him in good for PvE. He's really good, but his Crystal Vault in the shop is not the best. There are better options like Gladiator for Alien, Alliance Battle stages, and then World Boss stages as well. The overall value of Gladiator is much higher than overall value for Odin, but that doesn't mean that Odin is bad. So he goes in good for PvE category. Next up, we have the queen of PvE, Luna Snow. Uncontestedly, one of the most valuable PvE characters in the game. She can be played at 9 Alliance Battle stages and easily score maximum scores in every single of those stages. And apart from that, she also crushes every stage of World Boss Legend. Well, at least first 4 or 5 bosses says that she's available, so she absolutely deserves to be in the best for PvE category, but again, she requires a seasonal uniform, so there are some drawbacks of getting her because she's hard cash vault. Then we have Sharon Rogers. Now, Sharon Rogers suffers from the same fate that Iron Man and Human Torch suffer, and that is being a blast female hero. They are not required for Alliance Battle, and while she's absolutely amazing for World Boss stages and actually has more World Boss stages than these two, I think, don't hold my word on it, she's absolutely amazing there, but she's also really strong at level 80, so you really do not need to build her at tier 4. And that is her weakness, that she's only really good for World Boss Legend content. And then we have Sentry. the uncontested god and meta breaker for PvP. I recommend every single player to build Sentry. His power level is so high and above most of the entire PvP roster, so he also doesn't require an artifact, but he does require the finished epic quest, so and is a native tier 3, so he costs a lot to build, and his uniform costs a lot. But man, when you build tier 4 Sentry and slap him with a Reforged Conquest or Reforged Greed or even a Reforged Region, and you enter Timeline Battle, you really do feel that power, and you see how much easier matches become for you, and you can easily push for high ranks in Timeline Battle and get some crystals in return. So he pays himself off basically with his value in PvP. Is also usable in Alliance Conquest and Otherworld Battle, because every character that's Timeline Battle meta or is used in Timeline Battle also is used in every single other PvP game mode. And if you go to a Vibranium or Challenger and click any of the top players you want, every single of the teams will have Sentry included there, and for a good reason. So he definitely deserves to be in the best for PvP category. Next up, we have a Hulk in his Titan uniform, and I honestly think that Hulk deserves to be in the best for PvE category. And there are multiple reasons why I think so. So Hulk is one of the characters that is really easy to get, really easy to build. His obelisk options are flexible. You can go with something like double max HP proc or max HP crit rate mini rage obelisk. If you want him to be a hybrid, you can give him something like a reforged refinement or reforged CTP of regeneration. If you want him to be meta in Alliance Battle, you can give him even something like a CTP of rage, or if you want him to purely be a PvP character, you can even give him a CTP of Conquest. He is similar to Captain America, being jack of all trades, but unlike Captain America, he's actually master of some of those trades. So because he's one of the best characters also to build for new players, and is meta in some of the game modes, can be played at multiple PvE game modes, and even has some niche use in PvP, he definitely deserves to be here. So I really think that he should stand proud here, and that every single new player or beginner player should build a Hulk. Next up, we have Hela. Now, Hela is, in my opinion, the most underrated character in Marvel Future Fight. Her PvE value with something like a reforged CTP of Destruction is absolutely insane. I've seen screenshots of her one-shotting stage 80 gores and so on. So her damage with the tier 3 skill, when you align it with Mighty CTP of Destruction or even a Brilliant CTP of Destruction proc, is absolutely amazing. She also has some PvP value as a support, and she can get some kills with CTP of Destruction with her counter skill. She also has Immortality artifact. Not a hard character to build, not a hard character to play, so I would probably slot her in good for PvE for now. But keep in mind that she also has some PvP value as a support. So, but because I haven't made a special category good for both PvE and PvP, I will just slot her in good for PvE, just because how obscene her damage is in World Boss Legend content once you equip her with a Brilliant or a Mighty CTP of Destruction. So absolutely amazing, and you can see from some of the top players that use Hela just how powerful she can be. She's absolutely insane, and definitely the most underrated character in Marvel Future Fight. Next up, we have Invisible Woman. Now, Invisible Woman goes straight into the dumpster. Sorry, she's a blast female. She just doesn't provide enough value for your account to justify building her. So there's really no reason to build someone like Invisible Woman over many other blessed female characters in the game. Then we have Angel in his seasonal uniform. Now, Angel was actually really poorly received because he didn't have iframe ignore and everybody expected him to be the next PvP meta character. So, but he does have some good qualities for him. Like, he does have a debuff removal that applies to all allies. So he does have some value in PvP, and he's frequently now used in modes like Otherworld Battle, but he's also quite good in PvE content. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to slot him in good for PvE category, just because there are better options that are good for PvP. Like, he's definitely not in the same league as Madeline Pryor or even Deadpool, but he does have some value in PvP in the form of debuff removal and that, well, impossible dodge artifact, similar to Spider-Man's character, Spider-Man's artifacts. But he also pushes World Boss Legends quite good, honestly, and I'm really surprised with his PvE performance. So instead of slotting him to do not build category, I will slot him in the good for PvE category. Next up, but given the fact that this is a seasonal uniform, he's really not that impressive. Next up, we have Jean Grey, and she goes straight to the dumpster fire, bottom of the do not build. She's the most garbage character in the game, and I'm only saying this to trigger Lucifer Morningstar. No, she's the best character in the game. Well, he is actually right, and she absolutely deserves to be in the best for PvE category. She's extremely flexible character. She was queen of PvP for some time. You had to have Jean Grey to compete in timeline battle for a long time, and now that her value has dropped from in PvP, her value for PvE still remains. There are better characters for some game modes, but she still is one of, if not the best, universal supervillain female character for Alliance battles. So, and given the fact of at how flexible she is and that she can still score some kills in PvP and push high stages of World Boss and score high in Alliance battle, she definitely deserves to be in best for PvE category. Next up, we have Doctor Strange in his Death of Doctor Strange uniform, and like his uniform, he absolutely deserves to be in the garbage can. Very disappointing uniform. I honestly was expecting more from a character like Doctor Strange. He also suffers from the same disadvantages that both Iron Man and Human Torch have, but unlike Iron Man and Human Torch, who are actually godlike in World Boss Legend content, he is okay, well, just decent, and because there are better options now in Blessed characters, Blessed human male heroes, there is no reason to build Doctor Strange, and he's even more expensive than these two, so I will put him in the do not build category. Next up, we have Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight is also one of the first tier 4 combat characters, and it is expected that he cannot compete with new combat types, like Hulk, for example. Well, he is a villain, but still much better than Moon Knight, so Moon Knight also goes to do not build category. There are better options for combat heroes if you want a combat tier 4. Next up, we have Cable, and Cable can easily go to good for PvE category. Now, he is absolutely amazing in some game modes. He can be used in Alliance Battle, he can push high World Boss stages. Really fun character to play, but there are better mutants in my opinion than him. And then again, he's also Blast hero, so not many, well, World Boss stages, but he definitely doesn't fall into the do not build category, but rather in good for PvE category, so we will slot him there. Next up, we have Doctor Doom. Now, Doctor Doom was an extremely disappointing uniform, but And we expected, as a whole Marvel Future Fight community, we expected him to be absolutely amazing, but he just fell short. But honestly, he doesn't deserve to be in do not build category, but rather in good for PvP category, because he can score some kills just like Deadpool. It just he requires an absolute beast mode of a build, and he will never be as good as characters that are listed here. But that same goes to a character like Madeline and, well, Doctor Doom as well. Then we have a Carnage. Now, while Carnage is one of my favorite characters in Marvel Future Fight, and I really want to slot him here, good for PvP, because he can be played in Otherworld Battle, he can be played in Alliance Conquest. I honestly do not think that there is enough value in building Carnage right now, so I will just slot him in do not build category, because unlike Doctor Doom, he also requires you to have insane amount of max HP and all basic defenses, and ideally a brilliant CTP of refinement for him to be able to tank some hits. It's really fun when a Carnage slaughters the whole team, but like that, and him needing a maxed out build and having a 6-star artifact really puts him below all these characters. Well, Deadpool does it too, but well, Deadpool is simply a better character than Carnage, in my opinion at least. So yeah, I'm gonna put Carnage in do not build category. And then this Maximoff twin, who is, well, one of the most disappointing tier 4s I have ever done. His value in PvE is low, his value in PvP is low, so he definitely goes, his tier 4 is bugged and doesn't work properly. You still get hit by some purple attacks from World Boss Legends, so he deserves to be in do not build category as well, unfortunately. Now, Miles Morales, he is still good in PvE. It's just he's a male speed type, and male speed types do not have as much value as female speed types, because female speed types also have many stages of Alliance Battle. So I'm going to put him in good for PvE, but his weakness is that he doesn't have many uses aside from World Boss Legend. Then we have a Venom. Now, Venom is really still good for PvE, kind of underrated too for how good he is, and he has one of the most unique tier 4 skills, where he can collect the Venom blobs and refresh his tier 4 skill, or his tier 3 skill. He still performs quite well, and in my opinion, he's definitely better than both Moon Knight and Hulkbuster and Captain America, and from my testing, even from Black Panther. So I'm going to put him in still good for PvE, but keep in mind that he will get a uniform soon, probably, once the new Venom movie comes out. So we might be looking at a new combat meta that might replace Hulk, but we will have to wait and see. Next up, we have Mr. Fantastic. Now, Mr. Fantastic is, again, like Venom, a decent combat hero, so I would slap him in good for PvE category. But again, there are better options than him. Building someone like Hulk would give you much more value than building a character like Mr. Fantastic and Venom. So there is a reason why they're here and Hulk is here. Next up, we have Shadow Shell, speed female. She's still quite decent. She can clear stage 99 of Null easily with even a CTP of energy. So she's still good, but you will get more value from a character like Spider-Gwen, so there's really no reason to build her over Spider-Gwen, so she goes to the do not build category. Next up, we have Thor. Now, Thor is absolute menace in World Boss Legend. He's really good in this uniform. He also is good in Dispatch or Dimension Rift farming. Really, really decent character, but again, he cannot compete with the likes of Phoenix and Luna Snow and Gladiator, so he absolutely deserves to be here with his father in good for PvE category, because his weaknesses is that he doesn't is not as flexible as these characters and is mostly built for Volbos Legend content, not really that good in Alliance Battle, and for dispatch farming or Dimension Rift farming. Next up we have Gamora. Now Gamora is really similar to Spider-Gwen. She's better in some modes than Spider-Gwen, but she's less flexible than Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen hits more stages in both World Boss and Alliance Battle. So I know some of you will hate me for recommending Spider-Gwen over Gamora, but I would always build Spider-Gwen over Gamora. So with that in mind, I will put Gamora in do not build category, because I think every player would get more value from a character like Spider-Gwen rather than a character like Gamora. Then we have a Professor X. Professor X is another blast male hero, just like Human Torch and Iron Man, and they are better than him in, well, pretty much everywhere, so there's really no reason why you would build good old Professor Charles Xavier, in my opinion. Next up, we have Loki. Now, Loki is still the best character in the game for Alliance Battle Alien Villain Day. So, just based on that, he deserves to be right here in best for PvE because he's still meta. But he really isn't that good in World Boss Legend content or, well, many other pieces of content. Well, he is good. So I still think that he deserves to be here. And if not here, at the very bottom of best for PvE. And if not here, then probably near the top or in the good for PvE category. And the reason why I'm not recommending new players to build Loki is because Loki really only is kind of tricky to play and starts to really shine once you get his build going. So you slot him some of his blessings, you give him a Reforged Rage, and then he can score and do some serious damage. While you can play a character like Spider-Gwen in much more game modes than you can play Loki. So, and she doesn't need a rage, so that's the reason why I'm recommending a character like Spider-Gwen over a character like Loki. So for now, we're going to put him at the very top of good for PvE, but there is an argument to be made that he can be even in the best for PvE category. Next up, we have Spidey. And oh boy, as our friendly neighborhood Spidey fell off the meta. He isn't really worth building for PvP like almost at all. He's basically now just an AC toon. Maybe has sometimes uses in timeline battle, or sorry, not timeline battle, but rather otherworld battle. But his uses are almost the same as Carnage now. So I would respectfully put him in do not build category, just like I did with Carnage. Next up, we have Star-Lord, another blast hero, and unlike Tony and Human Torch, he's just weaker version of them, in my opinion. So there is literally zero reason to build Star-Lord over these two characters, at least in my opinion. So next up we have Rogue in her seasonal uniform. Now in this uniform she's actually quite good. She can score some serious scores. She can crush World Boss Legends. She's good for farming. But, well, given the fact that she requires seasonal uniform and now that she has alternatives, I will put her in near the top of good for PvE category. Because there is another character that is also a mutant that is better than her in most game modes, and that is Psylocke, and I think that she deserves to be near in the best for PvE, because I think that honestly, she is overall, when you see her World Boss Legend performance and her Alliance Battle performance, and given the fact that how easy she is to play, I think that there is zero reason to build, unless you really like the character, to build a character like Rogue and invest real money in her when you can build a character like Psylocke. And the only drawback really the Psylocke has is that she requires seasonal uniform, much like Luna Snow does, and that uniform is a hard casual uniform. Then we have Battery Bill. Now, Battery Bill is actually quite insane character. He's one of the best characters for World Boss Legend content. I would say even better than Thor, but more expensive than Thor. And he deserves to be here in good for PvE category because he can score even some decent scores in Alliance Battle, push quite high stages, so yeah, he definitely deserves to be here. Next up we have Magneto, and oh boy, this guy absolutely deserves to be at the best for PvE category. And the reason is he has a unique tag, well, that's pretty unique tag in Marvel Future Fight, and that's being a blessed villain. And his only alternative is Ebony Mauve in his Space Hitler uniform. And Magneto is, even though he is now a 2-year-old uniform, or maybe even a 3-year-old uniform, I'm not sure, I think it's a 2-year-old, is still meta everywhere he can be used. So he definitely deserves. He's good in World Boss, he's good, well, the best in Alliance battles. So yeah, Magneto is definitely a character that deserves to be in the best for PvE category. He still doesn't have a replacement even all these years after he was released, and he's coming back this December, so make sure you pick him up. Next up we have Dr. Octopus. Now, Dr. Octopus is really good character, like insanely good character, and definitely deserves to be in good for PvE category. He is very similar to Hulk, but not as flexible as Hulk. Like, he only needs a CTP of Rage and nothing else, unless you're really using him to push high stages of World Boss Legends Plus. So you give him something like a Brilliant Destruction or Brilliant Energy for some massive rotation damage, but unlike Hulk, he must be played with the CTP of Rage, while Hulk is more flexible, and Hulk is better in Alliance Battle modes. He can be better in World Boss Legend modes, but he's way harder to play than Hulk, so this is the reason why I think Hulk should be here and Dr. Octopus should be somewhere around here. Next up we have Namor. Now Namor, really cool character, one of the first tier 4s, or in the first batch of tier 4s, but now that there are better combat types, I see no reason why anyone would build Namor over a character like Hulk, so he goes into the do not build category. And next up we have Scarlet Witch. Now Scarlet Witch, unlike her brother, is actually absolutely insane character, like absolutely insane character. She's super easy to play, her skills are gorgeous, she scores insane amounts in Alliance Battle, she's actually quite good even in World Boss content. She has decent leadership that you can use when pushing World Boss Legend Plus, and when you combine all that with her only weakness being that she doesn't have that many Alliance Battle stages, unlike Captain Marvel, who has many more. Well, no, did I say Alliance Battle? I meant World Boss Legend stages. She doesn't have that much World Boss stages, unlike Captain Marvel, who does have many World Boss stages, but she's simply stronger in the things they both do. So I would say that she deserves to be in the best for PvE category, but like Loki and like Dr. Octopus, she can be either near the bottom here or near the top here. So you definitely won't have regrets getting her to tier 4. Like, she's absolutely insane character. Like, I haven't faced a World Boss stage yet, and I've pushed quite high that she couldn't clear. herself. So, and I'm scoring insane scores with her. I don't know, maybe Captain Marvel can be better if you max up her team up collection, the Avengers one, so she gets 35% pierce. I haven't tested that, but I really believe that she deserves to be in the best for PvE category. Next up, we have Silver Surfer. Now, Silver Surfer is, again, absolutely insane character and is still one of the best characters in the game. He has reflect, he has counterattack, he has skills that cover half of the timeline battle and otherworld battle arena. So, like Sentry, he absolutely deserves to be in the best for PvP category, and he's, in my opinion, way better than any of the characters here. So, yeah, there's whenever you build Silver Surfer, get him this uniform and give him a PvP CTP, something like Reforged Conquest or Refinement or Authority. He becomes absolute menace, and if you play him on manual, you can abuse his reflex skill to kill every single character in the game. So yeah, insane character for PvP. You will never have regrets building him at all, just like Sentry. Next up, we have Apocalypse. We still do not know how good he is, so we're gonna move him further down. And then we go to Cyclops. Now, Cyclops is a joke. Probably the only tier 4 character that got tier 4 and didn't have a uniform. He does have some support value, and you can use him in World Boss Legend Plus content, but again, that's really a flex tier 4 to have. Like, you only want to build him after you have all of these, once the list is full, and probably most of these, like up to here or even here. So, yeah, I would really put him in do not build category. Black Widow, one of the first, if not the first, speed hero female. Now there are just better options, so there is literally no reason to build her over a character like Spider-Gwen right here, or a character like Luna Snow right here, so she goes straight to the do not build category. Next up, we have Ghost Rider, and now Ghost Rider is actually absolutely insane character. Again, seasonal uniform character, so if you take a look here, this uniform is seasonal, this uniform is seasonal, seasonal, and seasonal. So, yeah, Ghost Rider is insane. Like, absolutely insane. He has both PvE and PvP value. His damage in PvE is obscene. He melts world bosses. He can score quite high in alliance battle modes. So, if you build Ghost Rider and you get him his artifact and you give him a judgment or a rage, his performance skyrockets in every single game mode. So, yeah, you will have zero regrets building Ghost Rider. I can guarantee you. I can absolutely guarantee you. Next up, we have Adam Warlock. Now, Adam Warlock is still forced to be reckoned with in PvP. Now, is he as good as Sentry and Silver Surfer? I do not think so. So he'll probably go to the top of good for PvP row. I know that now with the new CTP of Liberation, there are some insane timeline battle teams where Adam Warlock basically becomes unkillable. So if you're one of those players, then sure, Adam Warlock could go here. But if you just started building your PvP teams, you will get much more value from building characters that are in this row than building him. So this is the reason why I will put him near the top of good for PvP row. Next up we have Gwenpool, and boy oh boy is this character amazing. Like, absolutely amazing. Super cool skills, insane damage, clears World Boss Legends like it's a cakewalk. Scores obscene scores in alliance battle modes, so she definitely deserves to be in the best for PvE. You will have, and she also has additional peers, so there is really, really no regrets to have one if you build Spider-Gwen. So yeah, she definitely deserves this. It's not Spider-Gwen, it's Gwenpool. I keep mixing them up, but you will have zero regrets if you tier 4 her. Then we have Ant-Man, speed male. There is no reason to build him over a character like Miles, so I'll just put him in do not build category. And next up we have Thanos. Now, Thanos is still a really good threat and a really good character in PvP, but again, nowhere near as good as character like Sentry or even Silver Surfer. Their kits are simply better, but Thanos' kit is insane, but his weaknesses are that he doesn't have immortality and doesn't have a revive. So unless you have really high stats on your cards and a good build on Thanos, he'll just get one shot. My Thanos is cleaving people in time, like he still kills sentries and Silver Surfers and Adams, and I'm really happy with his performance. But again, if you're creating your PvP team, you should tier 4 characters from this list first before you move on to this list. Same goes to this list. You should tier 4 characters from this list first, and if for whatever reason you cannot get her, you don't want to spend money or free to play, or you just passed her sale and now you have to wait another year or 10 months or whatever, or they're really expensive for you to build, or you do not have their artifacts and so on, then you can move on and build alternatives in this row. For example, instead of her, you can build Spider-Gwen. Instead of, I don't know, Gladiator, you can build Better Bill and move on from there. Oh boy, X23, you're such trash, like really disappointing. Kind of cool animations, but there is really no reason to build X23 over many other female speed types. I would even go as far as to say that she's one of the worst, if not the worst speed female in the game. So yeah, just don't build her. Like, it's a waste of resources in my opinion. So yeah, just if you want a speed female, build her, or build her, or build her, and they will bring much more value to your account. Oh, life is a mystery. Put on the mask, my boy, because you're going straight to the best for PvP. Obscene damage, even in this uniform, or even in his X-Stats uniform. It really doesn't matter. This uniform is kinda only for PvP, and this uniform can also be used in PvE, but is arguably worse because it has less iframes in PvP, but does even more damage. His 5th skill is absolutely insane. If you have his immortality artifact at least 4 stars, you can get that off 2 times and one-shot pretty much every character in the game. Absolutely insane character to build. So yeah, these 3 are, in my opinion, the top of the PvP meta and are the characters that you should go first. Next up we have, and the last character actually we have, because these are old uniforms, is Mystique. Now, Mystique was the first speed female villain, and there was an argument to be made to build her to score higher in modes like ABX. Now she's, because we have Dark Gwenpool, there is really no reason to build a character like Mystique, as she only now is a support for Boss Legend Plus, more or less specifically. If you build her to tier 4, so she goes into do not build category. So yeah. Now we have to wait to see how good Apocalypse is and where he'll fit in this list. My guess is either here or here, or maybe he's absolutely insane and he goes here. But if you take a look, like, these characters are absolutely insane and these characters are absolutely insane. Way better than most of these characters here. And the only thing I'm actually not sure is if I should maybe move her here, and or maybe even her here, and move him up here. But yeah, this value is, this is the only thing that I'm not entirely sure in my tier list. But yeah, there we go, guys. This is my tier list in Marvel Future Fight, and I would like to hear your opinions. Hit me up in the comments down below. Tell me if you agree with this list or if you disagree with this list, and what would you change to make this tier list even better. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you at the live stream. Take care.